It's the 21st of October 2024. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight, I am Jaimal Ratnayaka for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara, and here are your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Audit report reveals loopholes in medicine imports. In 2022, 656 letters were issued for importing unregistered medicines. In the first 6 months of 2023, 261 such letters were issued. Operation against illegal land reclamation in Muthurajawala. Fundamental rights petition filed in Supreme Court challenging parliamentary election date. Gammampila announces motion against President Anura over non-disclosure of Ranil's Easter attack reports. Damita joins another political faction.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
In your top story for tonight, the Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation took action to halt unauthorized land reclamation activities at 2 sites in Muthurajawala Wetlands Sanctuary located in the Vattala, Bopitiya and Nilsirigama areas.
Following a complaint by local residents and the Muthurajawala Wetlands Sanctuary Protection Organisation, Western Province Governor Hanif Yusuf directed a raid on 2 unauthorised land reclamation sites in the sanctuary located in the Vattala, Bopitiya and Nilsirigama areas. Residents reported that the courts had already issued an injunction to prevent any land reclamation activities in this area.
In 2017, the Columbo Municipal Council forcibly dumped garbage in the Muthurajawala Sanctuary. The villagers filed a fundamental rights petition with the Supreme Court, which issued an injunction prohibiting any reclamation, excavation, destruction or dumping of garbage in Muthurajawala. This is the court order. We have identified 1,320 hectares of the sanctuary, and despite this, large-scale reclamation and destruction are taking place within the sanctuary.
Yesterday, representatives from the Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation and the Governor's Office visited the sites to inspect the unauthorized activities. During the inspection, a discussion ensued between officials and a person claiming to be the brother of the landowner.
එතකොට ඔබතුමා ඒක ගන්න නැත්නම් අපිට ඊළඟ ස්ටෙප් එකට යන්න වෙනවා.
මම සම්දට හෙට වලගේ ආතෙන්න මට මේක අස්සම් ගන්න බෑ. මේකේ තියෙන්නේ ධර්ම ඉස්සාවේ ඔබ විසින් සිදු කරන අනවසර සංවාදන කටයුතු වහාම නතර කර දින 7ක් තුල ඉදම යථා තත්ත්වයටපත් කරන්න. මට එහෙම කරන්න බැරිකම බෑනේ. මම කරපු නැති හින්දා ඒකින්ද මට මේක අස්සම් කරන්න බෑ.
නෑ අස්සම් කරන්න ඕනේ. අස්සම් කරන්න ඕනේ කියන අපි ලියුම බාරගත්තා කියලා.
මේක මට කපලා දුන්නොත් මම අස්සම් කරන්න.
නෑ මේ කපන්න බෑ.
මේක කපන්න බෑ මාත් ඔක ඉතින්
ඒක වගන්තියට මම යනත් වෙලානේ. මම ගොඩ ගිහින් කරලා නෑනේ ඉතින්.
ඔයා ගොඩ කිරීමක් කරලම නැත්නම් අපි කවදාත් ඔය ලියුම ඔයාගේ අතට දෙන්නේ නෑනේ.
Subsequently, the Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation lodged a complaint with the Pamanugama police regarding the disputed lands.
Numerous incidents of malpractices involving medicine intended for vulnerable patients have now come to light. What has happened to Sri Lanka? Here's how medicine meant for innocent patients was stolen away from them.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
Don't ever forget that there is a history of theft involving life-saving medicines and injections in Sri Lanka. The primary document that facilitated the distribution of substandard or stolen medicines to patients is known in the healthcare sector as the WOR letter, also known as the without registration letter. Every medicine or medical device imported into the country must be registered with the National Medicines Regulatory Authority. However, there is one exception under the NMRA Act, specifically Section 109. According to this section, in special circumstances such as saving a life or controlling an outbreak, the NMRA can authorize the importation of a specific quantity of a medicine for national emergency or security purposes. However, such importation requires a request or recommendation from the Ministry of Health. Recent investigations by the Attorney General's Department and the National Audit Office have uncovered abuses of this provision. In 2021, the NMRA issued 126 WOR letters. This number increased to 656 in 2022, and in the first 6 months of 2023 alone, 261 letters were issued. When a medicine is registered, its quality, clinical trials, and the manufacturing company's credentials are thoroughly examined. However, medicines imported under WOR letters are not subjected to such scrutiny. From 2019 to October 2023, 26 types of medicines imported under WOR letters were found to have issues. In 2020, a heart medication called furosemide syrup used for patients with high blood pressure was imported. Out of 6,000 bottles, 98% were distributed to patients before it was discovered to be substandard. This medicine was even administered to children at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital. Remember the incident at Peradeniya Hospital where 2 women died after using bupivacaine. That medicine was also imported using a WOR letter. Out of 68,750 vials, 34,705 were used before it was found to be substandard. From 2022 to June 2023, the National Audit Office found that 305 WOR letters were issued to just 30 importers. Some companies received large quantities of these letters, including one company with 54 WOR letters linked to a relative of a high-ranking official who had connections to the opposition and the government at the time. The company that imported the problematic bupivacaine received 26 WOR letters. The audit report details these findings, revealing that the NMRA has neglected its national responsibility by issuing these letters. One company was allowed to import 400,000 doses of meropenem 500 milligrams injections despite previous quality failures. Additionally, the NMRA issued WOR letters for over 29 non-essential medicines. The findings are shocking. According to the National Audit Office, these medicines contained glass fragments and dead insects. In 2023 alone, medicines, surgical and laboratory items worth 2,482.12 million rupees were found to be substandard. How can this happen? Shouldn't those responsible be held accountable? It is evident that those behind these actions have balanced their interests for a long time. These issues must be investigated. We need to find out what happened to the innocent patients who received these medicines. Justice must be served. Isn't this the true expectation of the people?
The power of the people. Sri Lanka decides.
A fundamental rights petition was filed at the Supreme Court seeking a ruling that the decision to conduct the 2024 general election on the 14th of November is unconstitutional.
The petition had been filed pointing out that the announcement of the date calling for the nomination of candidates and the date for the general election is in violation of the provisions of the elections law. The petition, which was filed by convener of the Upper Sri Lanka National Organisation and civil activist H.M. Priyantha Herat, had named the Attorney General on behalf of the President, Presidential Secretary, Chairman and members of the National Election Commission and the Attorney General as its respondents. The petitioner states that as per the 10th section of the Parliamentary Elections Act of Sri Lanka, the period of calling for nominations should be from the 4th to the 11th of October. The petition also points out that according to the Parliamentary Election Act, the date of the election must be proclaimed in no less than 5 weeks and no later than 7 weeks after the acceptance of nominations is concluded. The petition goes on to note that accordingly, given that the acceptance of nominations is concluded on the 11th of October, the 5-week period ends on the 15th of November and that the 7-week period ends on the 29th of November. The petition filed by H.M. Priyantha Herat points out that according to the Election Amendment Act, fact, the correct time frame for calling nominations and conducting the election is from the 15th of November to the 29th of November. It states that the Gazette notification issued by the President is entirely inconsistent with the law and constitutes a violation of the rule of law. Citing these facts, the petitioner requests that an appropriate ruling be issued to correct the errors in the Gazette notification published by President Udaya Dissanayake regarding the calling of nominations and the announcement of the date for the general election.
The Supreme Court has scheduled a review for tomorrow on a petition filed by the Democratic National Alliance. The petition is seeking a writ order to nullify the decision made by the district returning officer to reject their nomination paper for the Vani district in the upcoming parliamentary elections on the 14th November. The petition was brought before a bench comprising Justices Preeti Padman Surasena, Shiran Gunaratna and Arjunobe Sekara. Additional Solicitor General Sumathi Dharmavardhana, representing the respondents, requested the court for time to obtain instructions from the Election Commission and present the necessary details. Considering this request, the bench decided to take up the petition tomorrow. The petition was filed by Pararajasingham Udayarasa, an authorized officer of the party, along with 2 other candidates.
Popular actress Damita Abat, who was ready to contest the upcoming general election under the Samagi Jana Balavegya, has decided to join the Democratic National Alliance. Speaking at a media briefing today, she said that this decision was made following several rounds of discussions.
Following multiple rounds of discussions held over the past few days, I have finally chosen the Democratic National Alliance, or the DNA. The only title I held in the SJB is an executive member position of the Vanitha Council. By now, I have stepped down from all those positions, and I am thankful to everyone who supported me along the way.
Our executive committee decided to submit her name under our party's national list. We will do so the first chance we get.
I no longer expect justice from the Samagi Jana Balavegya. The party's leader kept saying that he was not aware of the decision. I do not believe that a decision could have been taken without him being aware of it. He told me that justice will be served after the election. The question is if there will be any justice left by the time the election is over. I do not expect a national list nomination from the SJB when it is not even entirely assured from here. I joined the DNA with the hope of fulfilling my duties towards the country, whether or not I make it into the parliament.
Former
Minister Udaya said that the Sarvajana Balaya will be taking steps to bring forward a motion against the President. Speaking at a press conference, he stated that the motion is based on several issues, including the failure to disclose the reports of 2 committees appointed by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe regarding the Easter Sunday terror attacks.
Former Minister Udaya attended a press conference today, bringing with him 2 reports commissioned by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe to investigate the Easter Sunday terror attacks. These reports were prepared by the committees led by S.I. Imam and A.N.J. De Silva. Gamampila stated that he received these reports via post, which had been previously submitted to the former president. During the press conference, Gamampila disclosed several key findings from the A.N.J. De Silva committee report, which was tasked with examining whether there were any lapses by the police or intelligence services in relation to the Easter Sunday terror attacks.
මේ වාර්තාවේ 40 වන පිටුවේ මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. රාජ්‍ය බුද්ධි සේවා අධ්‍යක්ෂ විසින් 2019 අප්‍රේල් 9 වෙනිදා.
In the 40th page of this report, it states that on the 9th of April 2019, the Director of State Intelligence informed the Senior Deputy Inspector General, or the SDIG, of the Criminal Investigation Department that foreign intelligence had warned of a planned suicide attack by Mohammad Zaharan and the National Tawheed Jamaat on several prominent Catholic churches. Who was this senior DIG? It was Ravi Seniviratne, the current Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security. At the time this letter arrived on the 9th of April, Ravi Seniviratne was abroad. He claims he saw the letter only upon his return on the 16th of April. When government officials travel abroad, they must appoint someone to cover their duties. Accordingly, Deputy Inspector General Nagahamulla was appointed to cover for the CID. This raises the question of how the letter remained on Ravi Senaviratne's desk for a week without reaching Nagahamulla. Investigators questioned the staff of the senior DIG's office. Their response was that Ravi Senaviratne had instructed not to open or forward any confidential letters until he returned. Ravi Senaviratne reviewed the letter on the 16th of April and noted that an investigation should be conducted and progress reported by the 1st of May. However, the letter was only handed over to Deputy Inspector General Nagahamulla on the 19th of April. Mysteriously, the letter did not reach Nagahamulla until after the bombings on the 21st of April. It was finally sent on the 22nd of April, the day after the bombings. This urgent letter remained with Ravi Senaviratne for 12 days. Not only did it sit on his desk for a week, but he also gave until May 1st to report on it. What does this indicate? It suggests that Ravi Senaviratne did not read the letter or understand its gravity. The president has misused his power to suppress these reports to protect his political allies. The public has the right to know the contents of a report funded by public money. Suppressing this information violates the fundamental rights to freedom of thought and information guaranteed by the Constitution. If the president does not fulfill these two actions, immediately removing Ravi Senaviratne from his position and apologizing to the nation for deliberately withholding information from the public to protect his political allies, we will proceed with a motion against the president in the next parliament session.
ඉදිරි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී අපි ජනාධිපතිතුමාට එරෙහිව දෝෂාභියෝගයක් ගෙනීමට කටයුතු කරනවා. ඔබතුමාට ඉදිරි පාර්ලිමේන්තුව යොමුනේ කියලා හැකියාව මම හිටියොත් මම කරනවා.
If I am there, I will do it. If not, the Sarvajana Balaya will certainly take action. If the president remains silent on this matter and tries to cover it up as if it was not his fault, we will definitely proceed without fear.
අපි කරනවා කියලා බය නැතුව අපි කියනවා.
දැන් අපි බලාගෙන හිටිය ඇත්තටම මේ කූදයක් මෙතන වෙලා වාර්තාවේ එළි දැක්කලා මහමොලකරු එළියට එයි කියලා නමුත් ආව ටික මදි වගේ කියලා.
මේ පාස්කෝ විමර්ශනයේ බාරව සිටින්නේ පාස්කෝ විමර්ශනයේ ලොකුම චුදිතෙක් කියන එක.
The biggest revelation is that the person in charge of the Easter investigation is one of the main suspects. The FBI in the United States and the Australian Federal Police have conducted thorough investigations and concluded that the individuals they have arrested are indeed the culprits with no further need for investigation. If someone knows of a bigger mastermind, they should reveal it. If not, the president should appoint a special committee led by the person making these claims to uncover the mastermind. If there is an unknown mastermind that even investigations haven't uncovered and someone knows about it, it is their duty to immediately inform the police.
කින්නවායි කියලා කවුරු හරි දන්නවනේ. එයාගේ යුතුයකම තමයි වහාම ඇවිල්ලා පොලිසියට කියන්නේ අපි දන්නවා මහමොලකරුවෙක් ඉන්නවා කියලා මෙයා.
දැන් ඔබතුමාලගේ දින වාර්තාව තවත් ආයතේ තියෙනවද?
මම කියවනේ ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ 10 වෙනිදා.
As I mentioned, I received it by post on the 10th of October. It's unlikely that it was sent only to me. It must have been distributed to many others. Some might have reviewed it, assessed the risks, and decided not to publicize it due to perceived threats to their safety. My role is to respect the public's right to information, not to sit on a judicial bench. Did I even mention the name Suresh Saleh? You brought up his name. I haven't used the word Suresh in my statements. The issue is that some people believe what they want to believe. Even if justice is served and the culprits are punished, they won't accept it.
තමයි කරේ හිතෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ එයා වැරදිකරු වෙනකම් කෙතරම් යුක්තිය ඉටු කරත් කෙතරම් වැරදිකරුවන්ට දඩුවම් කළත් ඒක පිළිගන්නේ.
The General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna held a press conference today expressing gratitude to Udaya Dissanayake for defending the party's leaders against allegations related to the Easter Sunday attacks.
අපි දැක්කා එක වෙලාවක මේ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයේ වගකී
We have observed that at one point some religious leaders and political parties made unsuccessful attempts to hold the leaders of the SLPP responsible for the Easter Sunday attacks. The attacks occurred in 2019. However, the SLPP had already established its political power in the country and secured a strong position by winning the local government elections in March 2018. We thank Udaya Gammanpila for his revelations and for defending our leaders against these baseless accusations.
එළිදරව්ව සම්බන්ධයෙන්
KD Lalkantha of the National People's Power responded to Udaya Gammanpila.
උදය ගම්මන්පිලගේ අභියෝග මේ රටේ කවුද ගණන් ගන්නේ?
Who in this country takes Udaya Gammanpila's challenges seriously? Politically, he and others like him have become irrelevant. They have spent years exploiting nationalism, racism and religious divisions. Whether they shout or remain silent, the President and the new government are committed to delivering justice to the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks. The victims and the institutions representing them have faith in this commitment. Gammanpila is merely seeking attention by making statements to get some airtime on television. If he has any reports, he should release them. Why has he kept them hidden for so long? It's his responsibility. He should be questioned about why he has held on to these reports and whom he is trying to protect. Immediate questioning is necessary to uncover the truth behind his actions.
තියන් හිටියේ. ඇයි එහෙම තියන් හිටියේ? කාව ආරක්ෂා කරන්නද? මොකටද කියලා එතුමාගේ වහාම ප්‍රශ්න කරන්න ඕනේ.
Mujibur Rahman from the SJB shared his view.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිවරයා ඒ වාර්තාව හෙළිදරව් කරෙත් නැහැ. ඒ වගේම රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ
Former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa did not disclose the report, and neither did President Ranil Wickremesinghe after he took office. Now, with Anurakkumara Dissanayake as president, he has the opportunity to release the report that both Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe kept hidden. We urge President Dissanayake to reveal this report, which we believe identifies the suspects and those behind the Easter Sunday attacks. Why is there a delay in releasing this report? What is the issue?
කුමාර දිසානායක ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ ඇයි මේ වාර්තාව එළියට දාන්න ප්‍රමාද කරන්නේ? මොකද්ද තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ?
However, Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena shares a different view.
එතුමා මොනවද මේ ඉදිරිපත් කරේ? පරණ දේවල්මයි අලුත් කිසිම දෙයක් මේ තොරතුරු වල සටහන් වෙන්නේ.
What has he presented? It's all old information. There is nothing new in these details. It's clear that the reports he presented are not the 2 volumes from the Presidential Commission on the Easter Sunday attacks. There are no revelations about any hidden facts. These are reports from 2 committees appointed by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, received just 2 days before the election on September 18th. We need to know who organized and executed the Easter Sunday attacks, as our religious leaders, including His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, have demanded. Who provided the explosives? Who trained the attackers? Who funded them? We are looking for the mastermind. Arresting various officials and punishing them won't help. We need to let the investigators do their job. If these officials are removed from their positions, who will conduct the investigations? We clearly state that the Easter Sunday attacks should not be politicized for electoral gain.
මුල තියාගෙන කරුණා කරලා දේශපාලනීකරණය කරන්න එපා.
Following a court hearing today, Vasantha Mudalige of the People's Struggle Alliance emphasized that the victims of the Easter Sunday attack should not be exploited for political purposes.
We need to catch the mastermind behind the attacks. There is no doubt about that. However, Udaya Gammanpila is using this issue to further his election campaign to make himself look good. We must remember that he was a part of the previous governments and did nothing about it then. We also urged the government not to exploit this issue. When they were in opposition, they demanded a quick revelation of the truth. We make this request to the government in a spirit of brotherhood. And to Udaya Gammanpila we say, do not use this tragedy and the bodies of the deceased for your political ambitions.
The Center for Society and Religion held a media briefing today.
කරුණාකර මේ පාස්කු ඉරුදින මේ වින්දිතයන්ව
Please do not use the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks for political gain. Exploiting these tragic deaths for personal advantage is the greatest insult we can inflict on those who lost their lives. We strongly urge against such actions.
ලොකුම අපහාසයයි කියලා අපි ඉතා ඕනෑකමින් කියන්න කැමතියි.
ගම්මන්පිලගේ නාට්‍ය හොඳයි.
Gammanpila's theatrics are disgraceful. He shamelessly uses the lives of the Easter Sunday victims to gain publicity for his election campaign. This is a despicable and unethical act.
මියගිය මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ජීවිතات එක්ක සෙල්ලම් කරන
උදය ගම්මන්පිල කියන මිනිස්සයා
Udaya Dissanayake is using the Easter Sunday attacks for political showmanship aimed at the upcoming elections. We ask him, why has he waited 5 years to bring this to light? Is it because the general election is approaching? We demand answers from him.
His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, the Archbishop of Columbo, expressed his views on the investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks during a service at the Infant Jesus Church in Polgahahena, Ragama.
මේ දවස්වල අපේ දේශපාලකයෝ නායකයෝ മന്ത്രിවරු මෙච්චර කල් නිහඬව ඉඳලා අපි
These days, our politicians and leaders who have remained silent for so long and ignored our requests are suddenly eager to talk about the Easter Sunday attacks. They sit in Parliament without mentioning a word about it, hindering our efforts. Now they are questioning the whereabouts of the Commission reports, acting as if they are the new heroes of the Easter Sunday attacks. This is not what we have been asking for all this time. We still do not know who was behind the Easter Sunday attacks. The public has a right to know who was responsible for the deaths of 274 of our brothers and sisters, including Buddhists, Muslims and people of various nationalities who were in our churches. We need to know the truth. It is true that 7 Muslim extremists carried out the attacks, but there were others who knew about it and did nothing to prevent it. They fled to other countries. Those responsible must be held accountable. More importantly, who provided the explosives to these 7 individuals, who trained them to make bombs, who gave them the instructions and the means to carry out these attacks. We need to know who is behind this. The Catholic Bishops' Conference has repeatedly called for a fair investigation. We have received various pieces of evidence suggesting that the Easter Sunday attacks were not just the work of 7 Muslim extremists. There is something bigger behind it, and evidence continues to emerge. Without investigating these pieces of evidence, it is difficult to reach a fair conclusion. We do not want to accuse innocent people, but we have the right to know the truth about who was behind this. The previous government appointed 2 committees, and their reports were given to the Catholic Bishops' Conference. The first report contains the same recommendations as the Presidential Commission. Do we need another commission to write the same recommendations? However, the committee did suggest legal action against 2 senior officials working closely with the government. Who gave these suggestions to the committee? It was the government itself. The government wants to manipulate the investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks for their own purposes. But we are not ready to accept that. We need the truth. We need a thorough investigation to find out what really happened. The leader of this country has promised us this, and we are watching closely to see if he fulfills that promise. We hope that soon the truth about the Easter Sunday attacks will be revealed.
ක්‍රියා පිටිපස්සේ හිටියේ කවුද කියන එක මොකටද කියන එක අපිට දැනගන්න ලැබුණොත් ඒක තමයි අපිට අවශ්‍ය කාරණාව.
News First with the people.
A post-mortem examination was conducted today on the bodies found in a burnt 2-story house in the Singapura area in Chila. The examination revealed that the deceased woman and her daughter had their throats slit before their bodies were set on fire.
The post-mortem on the bodies of a woman and her daughter was carried out by the Specialist Judicial Medical Officer I.M. Ilangaratna Banda at the Chila General Hospital morgue. Yesterday morning, a fire broke out in a house in the Singapura area of Chila, where a mother, father and daughter lived. Their charred bodies were discovered at the scene. The deceased were identified as members of the same family, the mother, father and the daughter. During the post-mortem examination, it was found that the mother and daughter had sustained neck injuries consistent with slashing. Newsfirst correspondent reported that the deaths were caused by severe blood loss and the bodies were set on fire the following day, according to preliminary findings from the investigation. The post-mortem examination of the father was still ongoing as of this afternoon.
The Columbo Crimes Division informed Columbo Chief Magistrate Tilina Gamage today that investigations are ongoing to arrest former Member of Parliament J. Sri Ranga, the main suspect in the case involving defamatory posters targeting the Manor High Court judge.
During the court proceedings, investigators stated that the main suspect is currently not at his residence and efforts are being made to locate him. President's counsel Maitri Gunaratna, representing several suspects currently in remand custody, argued that his clients are witnesses in the case. He emphasized that keeping them in remand would hinder the police's ability to confirm the facts of the case. After considering the submissions, the magistrate ordered the release of 4 out of the 8 suspects on bail. The remaining 4 suspects were ordered to be further remanded until the 4th of November.
Issuing an advisory, the Department of Meteorology has advised naval and fishing communities to refrain from venturing into the sea for 3 days from today, owing to a low-pressure area formed over the East Central Bay of Bengal and adjoining North Andaman Sea. It is expected to intensify into a cyclonic storm by the 23rd of October. The Department of Meteorology has advised fishing and naval vessels out at sea in the aforementioned areas to return to the coast or move to safer areas immediately.
The Habaraduwa Angulugaha Road remains flooded from Alapahala, while the Khabaragala Bilevatta Road remains flooded from the Danduwana area as a result of incessant rains experienced since last night. The Gaul Karapitiya Road was inundated from the Beligaha area due to the overflow of the Moragoda Ala in Gaul. Several houses in Samagivatta, Gaul were inundated as a result of the Moragoda Ala overflowing. A mound of earth had collapsed next to a 2-storied building of the Royal College in Telijavila, Mathura. Highest rainfall over the 24-hour window ending at 5:30 am today was reported from Kadduwa, Mathura. A pile of earth had collapsed onto a house in Polvatta, Baligama. 4 people had been inside a house when the incident occurred, while 1 person suffered injuries has been admitted to the Mathura General Hospital.
බැස්සනේ වෙලා පස්ට් එක හැද්ද එහුණා කඩ වැටෙන වගේ අපි එත් මොන කඩ වැටෙන කියනකොට දරබඩ ගාලාම පාට කඩාගෙන වැටුණා. කියන්නේ කොහොමද මේක පොඩ පොඩ පස් වැටුණා. ඇතිලෙවලා එක පාට තමයි කඩාගෙන. මං ගියව කො මල්ලි ගියේ. බලනකොට මල්ලි යට වෙලා කොන්ක්‍රීට් කැල්ලටි ඒකට යට වෙලා කකුල්.
Houses and roads in Kohulugamua, Balipitiya and Polvatta in Valigama continue to remain flooded due to severe rain. Fishermen did not set out to sea today from the Thotamuna Fisheries Harbour in Mathura, taking into account the rough seas around Thotamuna, Devinura and Gandhara.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
We live in a world of progress. But what if progress isn't reaching everyone? Millions of Sri Lankans struggle without access to clean water, safe roads and bridges to a better life. But you have reached out. You have touched their lives. Thank you, Sri Lanka, for making Gammadda the most impactful rural development movement in our nation. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
Sri Lanka will be eyeing for economic revival opportunities at the 2024 IMF World Bank Group annual meetings that commenced a short while ago in Washington, D.C.
The 2024 annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, and the World Bank Group are set to take place from the 21st of October till the 26th of October in Washington, D.C. These meetings will bring together influential leaders from governments, business, international organizations, civil society, and academia to discuss pressing global issues and shape the future of international economic cooperation. Key events during the meetings include the plenary session, the Development Committee, and the International Monetary and Financial Committee meetings. Topics of focus will range from global financial stability and economic growth to sustainable development and poverty reduction. For Sri Lanka, the 2024 IMF and World Bank Group annual meetings hold significant importance. Sri Lanka's delegation to the annual meetings will be led by Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe. As the country continues to navigate economic challenges, including debt restructuring and economic recovery post-pandemic, the insights and support from these global financial institutions are crucial. Sri Lanka has been working closely with the IMF on a debt restructuring program to stabilize its economy. The discussions and outcomes of the annual meetings could influence the terms and progress of these efforts, providing a clearer path for financial stability and economic recovery. The World Bank's focus on sustainable development aligns with Sri Lanka's goals to achieve the SDGs. The meetings will likely address strategies and funding opportunities that can support Sri Lanka in areas such as poverty reduction, education and healthcare. Participation in these meetings allows Sri Lankan policymakers to engage with global experts and peers, gaining valuable insights into effective economic reforms and policies. This can help in formulating strategies to boost economic growth, improve governance and enhance public sector efficiency. Overall, the 2024 IMF and World Bank Group annual meetings present a platform for Sri Lanka to engage with the international community, seek support for its economic challenges and align its development strategies with global best practices.
Sri Lanka's Finance Ministry has reported notable improvements in its fiscal performance for 2024. This progress is particularly relevant in the context of the ongoing International Monetary Fund Extended Fund Facility or EFF program, which aims to support the country's economic recovery and structural reforms.
The government has projected a budget deficit of Rs 2,851 billion for the fiscal year 2024, which includes Rs 450 billion allocation for bank recapitalization. This was revealed in the pre-election budgetary position report 2024 issued by the Finance Ministry. In the first 8 months of 2024, the budget deficit was recorded at Rs 911 billion. Marking a significant reduction from the Rs 1,470.7 billion deficit recorded during the same period in 2023. The primary balance also showed notable improvements, reaching Rs 648.8 billion in the first 8 months of 2024, compared to Rs 55 billion in the same period of 2023. In the first 6 months of 2024, the primary balance was 3.7% of the GDP, indicating that the government finances are on track to achieve the primary balance target of 1% under the second review of the IMF EFF program. To finance the estimated budget deficit, the government planned to borrow Rs 2,851 billion on a net basis, with 726 billion from foreign sources and 2,125 billion from domestic sources.
The 16th BRICS Summit is taking place in Kazan, Russia. Foreign Secretary Aruni Vijayawardena is representing Sri Lanka at the summit.
The 16th BRICS Summit is scheduled to take place from October 22nd to the 24th, 2024 in Kazan, Russia. This summit marks a significant milestone as it will be the first gathering of BRICS countries following its expansion to include 5 new members: Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran and Ethiopia. The summit will bring together leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa and new member countries to discuss critical global issues and enhance cooperation among these emerging economies. Sri Lanka's Foreign Secretary Aruni Vijayawardena landed in Kazan this afternoon and was welcomed by a number of officials. Sri Lanka is to place on record its request for membership of BRICS at the Outreach BRICS Summit. During an interaction with the Colombo-based diplomatic corps at the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Foreign Affairs Minister Vijitha Herath said he has already addressed letters to his counterparts in the BRICS member states seeking support.
The world's eyes are on Samoa as it begins hosting the historic Commonwealth Heads of Government or CHOGM. Commonwealth leaders along with thousands of delegates and King Charles will gather in the capital Apia to discuss issues such as the climate crisis, environmental and security challenges.
The large ocean state of Samoa is currently in the final stages of getting ready to receive over 4,000 delegates for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting being held in Apia this week. Samoa will host the executive sessions where heads of governments will assess the progress made since the last CHOGM in Rwanda 2 years ago and chart a course for the years ahead. CHOGM Samoa 2024 will feature several ministerial meetings, 35 side events, 4 forums and the election of the new Commonwealth Secretary General. The Samoan Prime Minister will be welcoming to His Majesty King Charles III, who accompanied by Her Majesty Queen Camilla will attend CHOGM, as well as a series of engagements as a part of an official state visit. His Majesty has attended previous CHOGMs, but this will be the first time as the head of Commonwealth.
Britain's King Charles III has been heckled by an Aboriginal lawmaker after he arrived in Australia for the first visit to the country by a reigning monarch in more than a decade. Charles, who is on his first royal tour since announcing his cancer diagnosis in February, was confronted after completing an address to Australia's Parliament in which he urged stronger action against climate change.
An indigenous senator interrupted a reception for British monarch King Charles III during his first visit since taking the throne, calling for a treaty between the Australian government and the First Nations people. At an event held to welcome the King to Australia at Parliament House in Canberra, Senator Lydia Thorpe shouted to the British monarch that he was not her king and he should, quote-unquote, give us our land back.
Give us our land back! Give us what you stole from us! Our bones, our skulls, our babies! You destroyed our land! Give us a treaty! We want Scotland! This is not your land! This is not your land! You are not my kids! You are not our
The King was seated on a podium during Thorpe's protest and talked quietly to Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Thorpe is a vocal advocate for Indigenous Australian rights, often protesting at events or on the floor of the Senate. King Charles is on his first trip to Australia since being crowned in 2023. While Australia is governed separately from the British throne, the King remains its head of state. A national vote in 1999 on whether to become republic was defeated comprehensively.
New Zealand have done it. They have climbed their Everest. History beckoned for the Whiteburns, and they have answered it in the most emphatic manner.
What you just witnessed was the moment when New Zealand won the ICC Women's T20 World Cup for the first time. Sophie Devin and her women's cricket team took their name to the record books.
Do it, whatever it takes, yeah.
The ICC Women's T20 World Cup final was held between New Zealand and South Africa yesterday. South Africa won the toss and elected to bowl first. Both the teams arrived at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium with hopes of winning their maiden T20 World Cup. New Zealand, who batted first, lost their first wicket of Georgia Plymouth for just 9 runs. Suzie Bates scored 32 runs. Brooke Halliday and Amelia Kerr stitched up a partnership of 57 runs for the 4th wicket. Brooke Halliday scored 38 runs, while Amelia Kerr managed to score 43. The New Zealand women's cricket team put up a total of 158 runs for the fall of 5 wickets at the end of the allocated 20 overs. Captain Laura Woolwardett and Tasmin Brits walked onto the pitch with the objective of chasing down 159 runs to secure victory for South Africa. The duo managed to put up a first wicket partnership of 51 runs till Tasmin Brits was dismissed for 17 runs. Captain Laura managed to score 33 runs. Following their dismissal, the New Zealand bowling attack managed to restrict the rest of the batting lineup to get through to the scorecard. Rosemary Mayer and Amelia Kerr each took 3 wickets. The South African women's batting lineup managed to score 126 runs in the allocated 20 overs. As a result, the New Zealand women's cricket team was crowned as the 2024 ICC Women's World Cup champions.
The Everest. History beckoned for the Whiteburns, and they have answered it in the most emphatic manner.
Following their victory as the world champions, the New Zealand players celebrated in this manner.
Up and down the boulevard, their shadows.
Back to news from here at home. For the first time ever, the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka organized a trilingual pops concert at the Bishop's College Auditorium in Columbo yesterday.
the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka captivated audiences with a groundbreaking show with their performances at the inaugural trilingual pops concert held at the Bishop's College Auditorium in Columbo yesterday. Chitral Somapala, the Harmonious Soul Sounds Academy Choir and Soul Sounds Academy Children's Choir, directed by Soundari David Rodrigo. Of conductor Nishantha Varnakulasuriya, the orchestra delivered a mesmerizing performance that transcended language barriers. TV1, Yes FM and Legends were the electronic media partners of the event.
And on that upbeat note, we bring to a close tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you for stopping by. Take care.
Good night.